Welcome back. We have Jeff Parker is here to tell us a little bit about what's transpired since Friday. So how was your weekend? No.
It was quiet. Staying at home, as we say, staying at home, staying at home. It's a new era, for us right now, and it's unique. But nice thing is and there's a lot of things to do at home and enjoying
Absolutely.
that.
And the weather has been cooperative.
We did that. And woke up to a little rain, like you said this morning.
Yeah.
That was kind of interesting.
It was a little surprising. But every time you're on, we always want to kind of give everybody an update of what's happening.
Right.
And we try to stay on top of it here. So what numbers do you have for us to share today?
Well, unfortunately, what we've seen in numbers is just this continued rise, and as the board shows, we're at 3,121 cases yesterday that were reported, and that's one of the highest that I think Orange County's ever seen in this actual positive cases. Now again, the testing is part of that, 21,000 tests, so that's a big testing number. So there's bound to be more positive cases because of that. However, the trend is going up just like what we're seeing not just in Orange County, LA County, Southern California, and then the nation as a whole in numbers. And back to the critical side of it, I guess, is the unfortunate 14 additional deaths reported yesterday. Again, I want the emphasis that you and I have talked about. Unfortunate still, but kind of non-Laguna Woods is 8 skilled nursing facility deaths and 5 assisted living facilities.
Okay.
So that's not here in the village. We know that because we're not either one of those. And one resident who is in Orange County total that was just living in a single family home type of thing. So again, this impacts seniors and impacts people that are in very tightly dense populated areas, which assisted living and nursing homes are.
Right.
And so it's sad, but it's not unexpected to see those kind of numbers in those kind of areas, which is why when we talk about the vaccine in a few minutes, those skilled nursing areas and assisted living are high in priority with regards to getting the vaccine.
Right.
The hospitalization, we talked about that. Just want to mention that we're at 1,236 hospital beds. That's a lot of hospital beds, and ICUs at 284. To give you some perspective, we've gone up just in the last two days, and since we talked on Friday, we were at 1,122. Now we're at 1,236 people in the hospitals. Okay. So that's a jump of over 120, and we're in ICUs. We went up to 284 from the 265, so an additional almost 19, 20 people. So again, the struggle that the counties are having, and this is not just Orange County, but all of Southern California, is this surge in ICU patients, and how are they addressing those ICU patients, and how they're having to augment some of their other hospital beds in order to address this. So that's the biggest challenge that they have right now.
Okay, well, yeah, it's very interesting to see. I mean, then we wondered if there were any additional numbers regarding people with the flu or pneumonia and several other things, because it's hard to determine whether or not once they have gotten COVID-19, does it develop into something else too? I always wonder.
And with regards to the hospitalization, that's going to include that. So if somebody's going in there not 100% sure if they have breathing problems or anything like that, and let's assume they've gotten pneumonia or bad flu, and they're going down to the hospital because they're concerned.
Yes.
They're scared.
Yeah.
So that's going to increase the capacity in the hospitals. And that's the challenge for the hospitals, really, is handling that kind of capacity at the same time handling specifically the
Exactly. So I mean, that is, like you said, the concern is that if one hospital, and we talked about this on Friday, and the concern was that if you did have an emergency and it was maybe something else, would you be able to get into your local hospital? And some of them were having difficulty, not so much around here, but more North County.
Having
for sure, and other counties.
Yeah, take people to other hospitals because they're at a full capacity. It is, and that is scary only in the sense you want to make sure you get treatment as fast as possible. And those, it's also true with regards to people who are in need of hospitalization or emergency care. that aren't COVID related.
Yes.
And they have a hospital maybe down the street just a little bit from them, but they can't go there because those hospital beds are full.
Yeah.
So that certainly is a challenge.
Yes.
With regards to Laguna Woods, and I'm talking about the city again, we're at 130 cases, so again, we're up.
Okay.
The death total for the community has stayed the same at 10, so that's good. So there's no additional deaths reported to the city.
Okay.
So that's always good news to hear. The cases, as we've talked about, have gone up. When you look just a month ago, we were at like 104, 105 cases, and now we're at 130. So that's a pretty big jump in 1 month. But that's reflective of those sites where we have 30 people per 100,000 are testing positive, and that positive rate's at 10%, way above what it was previously.
Yeah.
And so we're going to stay, unfortunately, in the widespread tier 1 for quite a while.
Yeah, at least until they start administering the vaccine, which I do know has already started. And
So-
that leads you kind of into what you're talking about
so
next.
the good news on the vaccine is, as you probably heard, and if the residents haven't heard, the first planes and truckloads of vaccine were delivered, started being delivered yesterday to the West Coast. And so I read and heard this morning that a number of the hospitals are gearing up to get their first inoculations into their key staff people at hospitals and caregivers, starting as early as today and tomorrow, going into full fashion with regards to Orange County and LA County. So that's good news that we're seeing. I know that back in New York, some of the first hospital workers got their shots today. Of course, they're ahead of us, obviously, time zone. So I'm assuming maybe tonight that there will be some hospitals here in the Southern California region that will start getting that out. That's the good news, because certainly that helps protect our caregivers that are in the hospitals and working in that environment. They're probably clearly the most at risk if they're don't have enough protective care or just the contact possibilities. In the website, and Paul called it up, thank you, Paul, that there is in the Orange County Gov site where most people can get information about the results and everything. Now they have a new page with regards to the vaccine. You can click on that and it provides updated information with regards to facts about the vaccine, questions that'll answer you. Can you get sick from it? There's a lot of good information. This is a lot of this is coming out of the CDC in coordination with the state. One of the things that I want to highlight on there was how do we get the vaccine? They still have their protocol that they're working on. The Orange County Task Force is still working on their protocol. Now that it's coming out, we know that phase 1A is obviously hospital workers and caregivers. That part of that is trying to look at skilled nursing facilities and assisted living, those as a high priority. And then it's at risk categories. So given that we keep communicating with the task force that the village here is obviously made up of primarily people 65 and older, putting us in that category. So we're hoping that we can coordinate with them to be in that, what I'll call phase 1B. If it wouldn't, so if it wouldn't be phase 1B, then it would certainly be phase 2, because we certainly have the residents who are in that age group at that point in time before. Now the question is really, how is it going to be administered? Is it one where you're going to have to go make an appointment, go to the hospital, or are they going to use certain satellite facilities to do like drive-through shots? I don't think they've determined that yet. I know that it is a mass undertaking. And so realistically, one of the things that I think, to get expectations not too high, it's great that this vaccine's here. I mean, it got here faster than I think a lot of us thought it would. But likelihood is it's probably not until mid-March or later that the general public as a whole are going to get their shots. So that's why we're hoping that the village can be kind of somewhere in between that. Sooner than March, but we understand that the first caregivers and hospitals and first responders and all that have to come first.
Now, who do you work with when you're trying to make sure that our community is on that list. Is that the Orange County Health Department?
It is that through their task force. They formed a special Orange County task force for vaccine, and made up of over 20 people are on that. So we're in contact with a number of the individuals, and we've also asked if we could be on the committee. And we have not heard that back yet, but we're still pushing on that, because the more we can be involved directly, certainly the more influence we can say, hey, this is a community, as well as the Seal Beach community.
Exactly.
These are large population bases that fit that criteria. So how do we coordinate with you to get the shots out to those people?
Right, and also I'm imagining, because she's been really great in the past, is our supervisor, Lisa Bartlett, has been very helpful in getting us a lot of things. So maybe she's already working on it. We just don't know.
And they have representation on the committee, on the vaccine task force by the supervisors.
Okay.
And also the Committee on Aging is on the task force.
Oh, great.
And then Carlos Rojas, who is our security director, has his individuals that he's coordinating with that are on the public safety side. So they have a number of those people on the committee too. So we're kind of doing it multi-approach, because we don't want to kind of leave a stone unturned if it's going to benefit our citizens.
That's great. Oh, that's really good information. Good. And then now, has anything really changed with our activities? I know outdoor is still happening. Anything else that's changing?
We sent out on the blast on Friday some updated information with regards to wearing the mask and the requirements. And I just wanted to have people take a look at that. It's our recreation masking requirements have been updated. This is going back, so there was some confusion when the state first said, hey, we got this new program and got to go back to staying at home. Well, they said you can be outdoors, do this, but it didn't say certain categories that said you need to wear a mask. So we went back and went through it all, worked with our legal individuals that we work with here in the village. So one of the things I wanted to mention was that with regards to golf, it's critical that people wear their masks to and from the facility. That's number one. But they have to wear masks when they're on the putting green. So, because that's where they're getting close to one another. So it is imperative. When they're driving singly in a golf cart, that's okay. But with there more than one in a golf cart, like a couple or anything like that, they need to be wearing their mask. So we want to keep doing that. With regards to racket sports, tennis, pickleball, paddle tennis, all of those, if you're playing singles, wear a mask getting there, wear a mask walking away from there, but while you're playing, you're okay. But if you're playing doubles, you're going to have to wear a mask while you're playing doubles because of the close contact. So that's one of the big changes that has occurred. So the critical part is, it comes back to being in close proximity to other people, and that's why lawn bowling, bocce ball have to wear masks because of the environment they're in. Fitness classes. So one of the things that was originally looked at was we're going to have to require people to wear masks even outside. But what we have done in coordination with those guidelines is we have expanded the distancing between so we're no longer at 6 feet, which is what was the recommended. Now our equipment is 10 feet apart. So if you're going to the equipment and when you're coming to the facility, you need to have your mask.
Yes.
Once you get on the equipment, which is now 10 feet apart, you can take your mask off. So again, the critical part is to and from, and having it with you at all times, because hey, you're on a piece of equipment, you're getting off a piece of equipment, somebody else walks up, you got to be putting your mask on and taking it up so that you don't run into somebody else and get in that space where it can be transmitted.
Wow. Well, I didn't realize that you would. That's not easy. You know, it's not easy to do. And so maybe the next thing that I report on will be, what's the best mask to wear for when you're exercising or outside doing some sort of activity like that? Because sometimes, like that one's probably all right, but some of the cloth ones are really very hard to breathe in.
It's very true. And there are some recommendations I know that you can find on the different websites with regards to that. And but remember, they had the original some of the masks that had some air vents on them.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Which allowed you to breathe fine, but it was still transmitting, so that you have to be very careful about that. You're right.
All right, well, we'll definitely take a look at that. Well, thank you very much for the information. We appreciate it, and we'll touch base again on Friday.
We'll see you on Friday. Sounds great.
Thank you. All right, and stay tuned because I'm going to have some local deals on food for you, so hang in there.